Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Good. Let's see. I've been relegated to the bedroom.
I was gonna say I see some. You got some laundry going on
Oh,
there.
all sorts of stuff. They're like, get out of the living room. You're not doing this in the living room tonight. She wants to watch TV.
The honeymoon phase of the podcast is
Oh,
over.
she's never cared. I've never had a honeymoon phase. That was just being polite because you were here, Danny. Now she's an actual listener now, and I now I get feedback and I get notes.
The first one is like get rid of that guy. Get
Yeah.
better get a better host.
No,
Co-host.
she's impressed. She's impressed that I was able to get you involved in my
You
hijinks.
wrote me in. You wrote me in, baby.
So, hold on a second here. I want to make sure we have all this straight. I want to make sure we're recording. I think the sound is coming in okay.
Did you check your mics and everything?
Yeah, I believe I
Okay,
am good to go
awesome.
here. One, two, three. Yes. Danny McMahon.
Yo,
Should I let the song finish up here? Yeah, I am. I'm good.
I love it.
There you go. That's official. What's going on, man?
Not much, man.
Yeah.
Just chilling on this beautiful Sunday evening in Logan Square, Chicago. Just
Yeah.
got back from a little afternoon out, and yeah, just settling into this beautiful Sunday. How about you?
Um, busy. I was at the bike shop today. Weekends,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
weather is starting to turn here in Chicago, so bike shops are starting to pick up. If any, yeah. I mean, people are out. People are out and looking for bikes and bringing in repairs. It's that time of the year at bike shops in the Midwest, where you get something in the 50, even a 50-degree day. We'll get the people who are thinking. Um, the people who ride, the people who want to be ready for the first nice days of the year, are bringing their bikes in. Our good customers know how that we get pretty busy, so they're trying to beat the rush. And so yeah, almost it's funny because almost everybody who comes in right now with a bike, um, I know them all by name, by first name.
Really?
Yeah, they tend to be pretty regular customers, and I try to remember who these people are and try to greet
Yeah.
them at the door. We're a small shop, so I mean, I give them the full on. I give them the full Joe. Um, you know, it's I
I
welcome
think
them
you, I
in.
think I think you got to trademark that, the full
The
Joe.
full Joe. Yeah, I mean, if I can do that.
Not just a cup of Joe.
Mm-hmm. And
Do you have the? Do you know the most? What's the most? Do you have like? What's the most common name among your customers?
ooh,
I'm starting off with some really bad questions.
I have some Kevins. I have a few
Oh,
Kevins. Uh huh. I have a few
okay.
Kevins. I have some Kyles.
Well,
Uh,
I wouldn't have guessed. You got the K's going.
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't have
do.
guessed that.
I do. Now that I think about it, I have a couple of Kevins and some Kyles. Lucas is. I have a lot of Polish
Hmm.
and Lithuanian people in my neighborhood, so I
Okay.
have a lot of Lukash, or Lu, yeah, depending
Yeah.
on how long they've been in the country. I can get it in various pronunciations there. I can get a Lucas.
Right.
I can get a Lukash. Um, you know.
Yeah, they can go full on like
Mm-hmm.
native or just kind of Americanize it or anglicize it.
I get Peters. I get a lot of Peters, between the Anglo Peters and the Polish Piotres, you know.
Yeah.
So. Uh,
Yeah, I had a friend named Peter in the Czech Republic. It's Petr, and they just say Petr.
yeah.
And he was probably 6'4",
Hmm.
big lad, so we called him Velký Petr, Big Peter,
I have a
or
pet.
Peter the Great,
I
Peter the
have a
Great.
I have a petter who's a very good customer who I think we're probably going to have on the show as a guest, worthy of being a guest. He has
Ooh,
won. He's actually a winner, two-time winner, and I'm a bad friend because he's just got done competing, and I don't know how he finished. In this year's Iditarod one, Iditarod
you're
fat bike race in Alaska.
you're kidding.
Mm-mm. No, and he's won. He's won twice. He's won this race
That's
twice.
huge.
Yeah,
That is
yeah. No,
huge.
it's insane. I mean, he's a
Oh
Midwest
my
guy.
God.
I mean, he lives in basically, right outside in the suburb of Chicago, and
Hmm.
he trains in the forest preserve directly behind the bike shop. His name is Peter Eneman. So it's Petr and then
Hmm.
Ineman. Eneman. Peter Eneman. Um,
Wow.
you know what? Look up the Arrowhead. Not the Arrowhead. The I did a Route 100. Let's see what the results are. Let's both find. It looks like you're searching right
Yeah,
now. See how he finished this
yeah.
year because he just got done, and I got busy in the last week. I haven't been able to follow the race 100%. So
Wow. Standings.
is the race still going on? I mean, perhaps the race is still going on. He could be.
Um,
Oh, this is exciting here. I did
oh, so
around.
it's going on right now. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, oh
So yeah,
yeah,
it says
yeah. This thing is like
uh
2 to 3 weeks long. It's
okay.
yeah.
What's his name? What's his name?
Eneman, Peter Eneman, Petrineman, Peter Eneman. Bicycle race. I'm looking here on my side too.
Apparently, I've had a long weekend because I'm like really slow at the internet today.
I'm sorry, Danny. It's the Trail 1000. It's
Oh,
the ITI 1000. Well, I mean, they have now there are various versions now. At some
I was
point.
gonna say the promoter is like,
Hmm.
I have an idea. Let's keep adding different versions of this.
Yes, it's the Iditarod
That's cool.
Trail Invitational
Hmm.
1000. Let's see. Oh, the race tracker is right up top. Athlete tracking. Peter Eneman is in. Huh. It looks like he may be in first place at the moment.
Is there
Um,
is there is there a chat in Skype? I haven't used Skype in a million years.
no, me neither. I
How do they not? Oh, they do have a chat at the bottom right.
Do
You can
they?
just drop a link in there.
Yeah, we should clarify we're doing this on Skype today.
Yeah. So this guy's from Czech Republic. I didn't. I'm sorry if you mentioned that. I missed it. But
Hmm.
wow, I'd like to chat with him. I wonder. I live there, so I'm wondering where he's from exactly.
Oh, he's 808 miles in right now. So I mean, if I'm reading this correctly, they're 14 days in, 14 days, 1 hour in at the moment. He is in first place at the 808.7 mile mark.
Oh my god.
All right, and so
Oh my god.
So to give you an idea, I mean this is like this race is not supported. So there's no support. There's no they check in at there are various places that they check in along the way, including like gas stations and
Hmm.
little like a local store. Um, it's impossible to carry enough food for a month with you on the bicycle.
Right.
So
Right.
what they do is um, he prepares boxes of food
Mm.
and he mails them to post offices along the way. And what
Wow.
they do is they go to the post to that they stop at that post office and pick up their package. And they repack, and get ready, until they can make it to the next post
Right.
office and
Right.
pick up
Right.
their supplies. It's
Can
insane.
he just can he just get Uber Eats, like get a pizza? No.
You could try. You can try.
I saw that the Tribune, this is going back to 2015, but the
Uh huh.
Tribune has a nice feature on him.
Oh yeah.
Um, I have a nice photo, and yeah. So wow, this guy's super legit. This is insane. I love it.
No,
Oh
yeah,
my
no,
God.
no. I mean, he's a friend. Not only a friend, like, I mean, he's a good friend. You know,
I think it'd be dope to have him on.
yeah, I really like I like Peter. He's a genuine dude, guy with a full time job. What I really admire is that he has a full time job. Danny, he works. He works harder than both of
Right.
us. Like he's kind of in.
Wow. What does
Uh,
he do?
he does he does wiring for homes, like
Oh, okay.
high end homes, like smart homes.
I'm looking at this map that the live link you sent me, and
Mm-hmm.
first of all, it goes across a huge chunk of I was going to say Texas of Alaska,
Yep,
and it always I do know my geography decently, but I'm always surprised how close Alaska is to Russia.
it's right there.
Technically,
Uh huh.
it's right there. It's so crazy. I'm seeing some interesting stats here. Route average speed 2.4 miles per hour,
Mm-hmm.
which tells you how probably crazy difficult this race is.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous. If your average speed is 2.4, well, that's saying something. Current speed is 5.2. So is he racing right now? Yeah, yeah, could be right. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be
What time?
moving
What time would it be? It'd be 5:20 there, right? They're 2 hours behind.
4 hours.
This is insane. I love this. Wow. That picture, I'm sure he has a different bike now, I would assume, but that picture in the Tribune with his bike, that's pretty legit. I mean, those gloves,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I, I sent the link in the chat if you wanted to see what I'm looking at. Those gloves, oh my God, those are like the size of like a small child.
Yeah, those are pogies. So that's kind of
Wow.
those are it's a fat bike thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a winter riding thing, but they really became popular with kind of the fat bike um, revolution that took place, 6 7 years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
They're you basically slide your hands in there. They've been around for a long time. They've had kind of neoprene versions of those, and these are like
Mm-hmm.
down.
I see the messengers
Hmm.
sometimes use those.
Yep. Remember a couple of years ago when we had kind of the super cold weather here in Chicago. It was, I don't know,
Oh, the
40.
vortex, the polar
The
vortex.
polar vortex. Remember that?
We even had a great freaking name for
Uh
it.
huh.
It felt like we were in the Star Trek or something.
That winter, that during the polar vortex, um, he acquired a new sleeping bag that was rated to some ridiculous, um, you know, temperatures.
Something something you would use climbing Mount Everest or something.
Mm-hmm. And he decided he would test it by sleeping in his backyard in a snowbank.
This
So
guy's awesome.
yeah. Yeah,
In a snowbank,
yeah.
not just outside, in a snowbank.
Yeah, he's that kind of a dude, man. Pretty incredible athlete, really strong, obviously a very strong rider. But
I was gonna say, yeah.
and a really nice guy, and obviously and an incredible athlete. I mean, to win this race with having a full time job and living where we live. I mean, how do you train to race across Alaska? Living in suburban Chicago. I just give him all the credit in the world. So.
I can't wait to talk to him, Joe. I have a million questions. I'm just looking at this live updated map. It's fascinating. Like, I want to know how they cross these bodies of water. Like, are these little ferry boats? Like, what are they doing?
No, they don't
Um,
do. They don't. I don't. I mean, I've heard of the water crossings.
or is this a bridge? It doesn't show
No,
anything.
there's bridges. I mean, I don't think they're never on ferries. It's always on dirt. But I heard, they have a lot of trouble when it's warm up there because obviously
Mm,
the ground gets soft. So there is a lot that goes into it. You would think, oh, the temperatures are mild. It probably makes for a better race, but they actually.
no, no. But no, I'm just looking. There are sections where you can follow him, and he's clearly going across water. I'm just curious, like how that works. But I have a million questions. I wonder, what the great characteristics, like what are the characteristics of like the top riders? Like, I mean, obviously they're good at cycling,
Mm-hmm.
they're strong, they have
Mm-hmm.
great constitution. But I'm just wondering, like specifically, like I don't know, like what makes what makes these guys so good at this versus kind of like regular cyclists? Because I think obviously with some cyclists, a lot of road cyclists, for example, they're super skinny, no body fat, 5-10% body fat. I'm wondering what these guys are all about.
Well, as I know him, so he's a sturdy lad. So he's not he's not pro tour thin. I don't think that you could be that. I don't think you can be on the cusp of anemia and everything like a pro tour
Right,
racer is, and do one of these
right.
races. All these,
Yeah.
and I've met a couple of his of friends and people that compete in that world, and they tend to be a sturdier breed.
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
not fat
Hmm.
by any means, but
Sure.
they look like they kind of look like bike racers back in the '80s did in the spring. You know,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
just not that soup. They're probably obviously a little bit more body fat,
Like the
lean. Mm-hmm.
Sean Kelly types and Greg LeMond types
Yep.
and Bernard Hinault types.
Yeah, almost like normal human beings, like fairly, you know.
In other words, normal human beings
Yeah, yeah,
versus
yeah.
those world tour guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the current
That,
world tour crop, which is just like, everybody looks a little sickly in the real world, you know.
oh God, yeah. So
So,
this is so cool. I love
hmm,
this. I love it too because I don't know anything about it. But I'm looking at these some of these details, the updates. Pretty wild, man.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm
Cool.
disappointed in myself in that I lost a little track of him. With COVID
Hmm.
and all the rest the last couple of years, I've lost track of people that were very regular at the shop who, just out of respect, didn't stop by because they knew we were busy. And I did text and I did exchange messages with him right before he left,
Hmm.
and he said, "Oh, I'll get in touch with you when I get back." And I said, "Oh,
Hmm.
great." But I didn't realize he was going to do the Iditarod, and I guess it's nice that we're talking about it. So I will
He's
make
taking a little bike ride, taking a little bike ride around Alaska in the freaking
and
snow and
and leading
the,
the
the,
race at
the
the moment.
elements and
Yeah,
winning and crushing it.
he's crushing
Wow.
it right now.
I,
I
s-
mean, I think
I haven't even met him and I love this guy.
what is he 100 miles ahead right now? I mean, he's 60 miles up right now. Everybody else is clumped
Uh,
together. That second
Odds
group
and
is
more.
that's the second group. It looks like there's two guys that are at 737 miles. Um, there's another guy at 737 and another guy at 736. So there's a clump of riders there at one, two, three, four, five, including a Spaniard and Italians. Gee, one,
Whoa.
two, three, four, five, six.
Spaniards. It's like the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah, yeah. So there are six riders kind of bunched up between 737.4 and 736.7. Within zero point 0.7 miles of each other, there are about six riders clumped together. And then Peter is a good 60 miles ahead of them. 60,
Un,
you know, six,
unbelievable.
yeah, 61, 62 miles ahead of them right now. So pretty much 3 days, right? Or no, not 3 days. If they're going, what, 4 miles an hour? Was that the
Oh,
average?
I see.
Two
I'm,
two
I'm back.
miles an
I'm back
hour?
on the main. I'm back on the main page now.
Yeah.
Okay. This is fascinating.
Yeah, he's got like almost a day up on them if they stay at this if they
What's
stay
my
at this
lead?
pace.
One day.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your lead right now? Oh, one day.
Well, they don't sleep. They
Um,
don't sleep very much, so they sleep like maybe 2 hours, 4 hours at a time.
I was
And
gonna say it's like Ram, right?
yeah,
So
oh
the
yeah,
ride across America. So it's
yeah.
like you can sleep as much as you want, but
Mm-hmm.
you obviously are going to be losing time
Oh yeah,
literally if you're. So yeah, go ahead and sleep, but
yeah.
that's not how this works. So this is amazing.
And
Wow,
they
what an international mix too. We got a Finnish guy, UC Karliainen. I'm probably butchering that, but we got a Finn in second, two Italians in third and fourth, Spanish dude. We have whole. Let's see, we got Americans, we got Danish. Yeah, we got a whole bunch. This is cool, man.
yeah, yeah. Oh, we'll learn about it. We'll definitely have him on the show. I mean, he's somebody who actually stops by the bike shop. We can have him. We can have him come by the bike shop. I I really like Peter.
I'm gonna feel like such a wuss now if I like don't go out
Uh huh.
and just because it's like 38 or something and well We know about your
Yeah, well, I
test for
mean,
cold
yeah,
weather.
yeah. Gee, I mean, if you're put off by the cold, imagine me.
Well, I just in the back in the Trib article from 15, they talk about riding over frozen lakes. Okay,
Hmm.
that would probably freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I think a lot of those water crossings that you're seeing that you referred to in the map before,
Hmm.
they're frozen over. They should be frozen over at the moment. So
Oh,
I believe
okay.
that they're
Duh.
riding over some
That
of
makes
that
sense.
stuff. Yeah.
They just look so big too, though. I was like, is that can
Hmm.
all that freeze? Yeah. Well, that explains a lot of it.
I am I am a member, Danny, of the National
Hmm.
Bicycle Dealers Association. Check me out.
Ooh.
I'm like so pro. Um,
Wow.
and they host these Zoom meetings once a week, various topics. Um, and I was on one of these calls, and if you're familiar with Zoom, you'll get sometimes somebody's photo won't show up, but it'll the name of whatever organization or their name will pop up. And I saw Turin Cycles or Turin
Ooh.
Bicycle show up, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a place that I worked at in the past.
Yep.
It's actually where
Yep.
the first bicycle shop I ever worked at was Turin in Chicago. And so it was black for a moment, and so I didn't know, I don't really know anybody working there currently. Um, but uh, when that little square lit up, it turned out to be my former boss, Lee Katz, the
Oh my
owner
God.
and founder of Turn Bicycle,
That is so
and
cool.
it was great. I mean, it was really. Um, I got to say, Danny, it was a little emotional for me to see him pop up there. There were probably, I think there were only 12, maybe 12 dealers, a dozen dealers from across the country on this phone call, on this meeting. But for two of us to be touring guys and my former boss, and I haven't, I think I ran into him at one of the CABDA shows, one of the bike industry bike fairs here in the Midwest a couple of years ago. That was the last time I saw him. Um, Lee Katz is a legend in the bike industry. And if anybody out there is familiar with Lake Shoes,
Hmm.
Lake Shoes, that's his
Hmm.
brand. That's his. He's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that's well, it was his
They
brand. I don't believe he's involved with the company anymore, or he doesn't,
okay.
own the company anymore.
I'm just looking it up here. This is so cool. So did he found Lake and then
Yeah,
like sell it or okay.
yeah, he found them. I think I don't know. I don't know about the sales process. I was just out of the shop by that time, but I worked. I actually did some work for Lake. It wasn't unusual for him to
Oh.
pull somebody out of the bicycle shop in the winter to come over and work at
Hmm.
the office. And so there was a time Lake did a computer. They were doing a wireless computer for a time, and
Really?
they were dabbling in different things. He was heavily involved with the creation of the SPD shoe. Uh,
Wow,
uh,
that's huge.
yeah, with Shimano. So he got a real head start with Lake shoes because he was involved in the design of the early SPD cycling shoe for Shimano. He worked out some sort of deal where he was able to use Shimano soles for his shoes, which was a
Hmm.
huge advantage
Hmm.
over any other shoe company at the time because the biggest failure um, in cycling shoes in early SPD shoes was the cleat getting ripped out of the sole of the shoe. So
Oh.
Shimano was the only one that had it had a designed where that wasn't happening, and Lake, which had kind of a some sort of a deal going where they could use the soles of their shoes on lake shoes because he was involved with that early design process. He was the Basso importer at some time. At some point, he used to
Wow.
import Basso, and we're talking like maybe late '70s, early '80s. I mean, he was producing in China and in Asia way before it became cool to do that over there. I would love to hear the stories from him directly. because
Yes.
I have
Yes.
kind of a that was a little bit before my time, and I don't know it. I'm not clear on the full history of that. So,
Yeah, I was just looking around a little bit. So on the Lake History About Us page, it talks about how it started in '82 out of
mm-hmm,
Evanston.
mm-hmm.
Doesn't mention him by name, but I did find some other references to him, to his founding the company, and lots of cool history. Man, I think we could have a lot of great people on this podcast, hanging out with us, chatting with us. He sounds amazing. I was vaguely aware of him,
Uh-huh.
and I know you'd mentioned him before, and I know Turin mainly through you, and some of that history, but I didn't know the great details here. I didn't know he touched so much. The
Oh yeah.
SPD thing, that's pretty massive. I mean, that's the main platform. I know there are others available now, but that's still probably, I'm guessing,
Yeah, for mountain biking or anything
the
else. Yeah.
dominant,
Yeah.
yeah, the dominant pedal. But that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing history to see him, and that's why seeing him the other day was really kind of a, I got to say it was very emotional. Just I was 17 years old when I walked into his bicycle shop, and here we are, and the reason for me, one of the reasons for me still being in this industry is right here with me, and it was very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, I can almost sense, like, I can imagine, like, people realizing, like, who's on that call. They're like, "Well, holy cats on this call. This
Yeah,
guy's a legend. This is awesome."
yeah, yeah, and because there were
That would have been and you didn't know he was going to be on there. Like, he
no, no,
just came on, and
I had no idea. I've been on
that's
several of these
so cool.
calls over, I don't know, for the last all winter long and since last year, and I've never seen, I've never run into him on one of these meetings.
Very, very cool, man. Yeah, Lake. I've never worn Lakes, but maybe one of these days when I need new shoes, I'll give them a try. Have you worn Lakes yourself?
My first pair of cycling shoes were Lakes, and my
Really?
latest pair of cycling shoes are Lakes. I just bought a pair of Lakes that I need to. I've been procrastinating setup because, as you know, setting up a new pair of shoes can be a
Yeah.
pain in the butt, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I just know the process. And these are heat moldable shoes, so the better shoes are now heat moldable. The good shoes all are.
Interesting. I've never tried those. Is that
Hmm.
where you put it in the oven and then you
Hmm.
step on it, basically?
Yeah, you warm them up. You basically set your oven at the lowest temperature if you're using a standard oven. They have like special ovens that you might go to a bike shop and get that done at.
Hmm.
Shimano has like a little oven, and some places have a portable oven that they do that in there for you. I'll put it in my convection oven at the lowest temperature, around 200 degrees. Set it in there for 10 minutes or so. Just let it warm up.
Right next to your Tombstone Supreme Special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, on the top rack, and then you take them out. I've done a set of Bont shoes, so it's a very
Hmm.
similar process where you kind of heat them up and the resin softens up a little bit, and you put the shoe on. You kind of strap yourself in, tighten everything down,
Hmm.
kind of molds, it molds to your foot. And then if you have, like, say, a bunion or some sort of um, protrusion from your foot, or some, bump or particular shape
Yep.
to your foot, you could take the back end of a screwdriver, and just kind of work that an
MacGyver
exception.
it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of recommended that you do it. So, because you might
Hmm.
not be able to get that little bump through just tightening the shoe down. So you can actually go in there and work it a little bit and create a little bit of space. It's the beauty of the moldable shoe. The heel cup of those shoes, kind of mold that to your heel. Um,
Hmm.
so that it holds and supports your foot a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, it's if you can afford it, because some of the better shoes they're pricey these days. I mean, it's ridiculous. Even at my cost, I'm still spending a lot of money. I mean, more than I ever thought I was going to spend for cycling shoes. I think these shoes
It's
retail for almost five
crazy.
hundred dollars, or 500
Yeah,
plus.
I was just gonna say it kind of just snuck up like this creeping
Uh huh.
price increase. Like, I bought a pair of as a civilian, because I definitely have gotten shoes in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really send shoes back when you test ride shoes because
Mm-hmm.
I usually do longer term reviews anyway. So it's just kind of an initial thing, like, you can pretty much keep them. But anyway, I had to buy my own pair, and I bought cyclocross shoes and I bought Bontrager's. I went to go, online one day. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna finally just pull the trigger and buy these. And I hadn't really researched them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, they might be like a couple $100. $400.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
$400 for
yeah.
cyclocross shoes. Are you kidding me?
No, man. Yeah,
They're great
it's
shoes, but I'm like, why is this shoe $400?
yeah, it's
Unbelievable.
crazy. I mean, I remember. I mean, the when I was last time I was like doing retail where I was stocking high end shoes. Was down in the city at Cycle Smithy, and I remember, seeing $250 shoes, and I was like, "Wow, that's nuts! $250, $250 to $300." Um, and now, they're $500. And this isn't like a custom made shoe. This is just,
Right. This
these
is just, yep,
it's a
mass
high end
produced.
stock shoe, but it's a $500 shoe. You know.
So yeah, about the Bontrager Triple X mountain bike shoe. It's on the Trek website, $400, and they're great shoes. I mean,
Yeah.
I love them. As probably like as close to perfect as you can get for a mass-produced,
Mm-hmm.
non-custom shoe. But yeah, $400. I was like, it'll be like 200 maybe. That
Yeah.
just for some reason had that number in my mind. Oh my gosh. So that's where we are.
Yeah, and this is these are real these aren't normal people problems, but um,
They're not normal.
I don't think you need to. I don't think you necessarily. Obviously, you don't need to spend that kind of money on cycling shoes to get a good shoe. But I would say that it is worth investing in a carbon soled shoe if you're gonna do this at all. You have kind of plans to do this not professionally, but seriously, or if you ride a lot. You'll see shoes out there for $100, and I guess those are okay if that's what all you can afford. That's great, but you're going to end up
Yep.
having you're going to replace those more often. They're a little soft. They don't give you the support that you need. They go bad, so they soften up over time.
Hmm.
Those cheaper um, plastic shoes, I guess.
Mm,
So they will, they kind of soften up a little bit and don't give you the support that you should have, that you need really. The whole reason you're buying a cycling shoe is for that stiffness and support, and so those shoes wear out. So it's well worth getting up the a carbon sole shoe these days. I think maybe $175. So not a whole bunch more than that $100 price point. I think for under $200 you can get into carbon, some sort of a carbon sole shoe, and it's well worth the extra money if you're going to do it. The last thing you want to do is break in and have a pair of shoes nice and comfy and to where you want them, and then need to replace them because the soles aren't doing, the shoe's not performing for you, you know. And so with
right.
a carbon sole shoe, it's going to give you that support. It's going to perform for you, and you're not going to have to replace it anytime sooner. Honestly, it's going to last you twice as long as um, that cheaper shoe is going to last you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I haven't looked at the lower end like carbon ones, but
Mm-hmm.
there are a few things if one has the means,
Mm-hmm.
if one is fortunate enough to have the means, but there are a few things I would, let's just say, I feel happy spending some real coin on. One of them would be shoes,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's partly personal, but personal in the sense that I have a bad left ankle.
Mm-hmm.
I've injured it multiple times. I've broken it.
No.
I've had serious sprains with it. I just have this really bad left ankle.
Yep.
Um, and and it's not. And then like I also feel like I get hot foot sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just need something very durable. I've actually had shoes break on me,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot, but once in a while. So I just feel like that's one thing I don't mind spending some real money on. It's one of the few contact spots you have on the bike, and I just feel like, yeah, it's just one of those things I want to be totally solid on if I can. You don't need to go for the highest end thing
Mm-hmm.
in each category. I think like shorts, shoes. I don't know, like eyewear. I feel like you can get like decent eyewear for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Helmets are generally pretty much similar in terms of how safe they are and the ratings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think shoes are where I don't mind spending some real coin.
Yeah, your feet. You know, feet are important. Your feet can dictate a lot of how your ride is going to go, and if you talk to a fitter, it all starts at the feet. Just your position on the bike and everything else, but also just your enjoyment of things. It's one of those things that's really overlooked by a lot of people. Oh, we were interrupted there. A little
Well,
communication breakdown.
that's okay, but I wanted to tell you something.
Uh huh.
I have a new book, Reckless: The Life and Times of, how would you say his name? Luis Ocana?
Luis Ocaña.
Ocaña. So I'm really stoked to read it. I read the intro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't realize what a crazy career he had. Basically, the only guy to beat Eddie Merckx at the Tour de France when Merckx was in his prime,
Mm-hmm.
but had a very tragic kind of life and was prone to extremes and things like that. So that's my new book. I just wanted to share that. That was Book Corner with Daniel.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Well, you can give us a little review of the book later. Who wrote that book?
It's a journalist I am pretty familiar with, Alistair Fotheringham.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh huh.
I may be saying his name funny, but yeah, he's written quite a few books,
Yeah.
and he's a journalist
Mm-hmm.
who's done a lot for like the Independent and these UK papers and whatnot. Eddie Merckx, the blurb on the front. I mean, what bigger compliment is this? By Eddie Merckx, called Ocaña my most dangerous rival.
Ah.
So there's that, and my other race-related thing I was just gonna say is, are you stoked? What's your stoke meter right now on a 1 to 10 for the Milan San Remo, which is next week?
I've made notes. I actually have some notes regarding today's podcast. I started I'm like, and it says racing too much. It was just and I and it's not in reference that we talked too
Joe,
much
Joe,
about.
don't sugarcoat
No,
it. Just
no, no,
come out and tell me
no.
what did he say.
It's not about too much. That we talked too much about bike racing. It's like I was really overloaded in the last week with bikes. I couldn't keep track of where everybody was at. I get a lot of Pogachar updates, but there are just so many races going on at the moment. There's a lot
It's
of
a weird.
racing.
You're 100% right. It's a weird thing with the schedule. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess it's amazing if you have the time to watch all these. I certainly don't. I would
Mm-hmm.
assume a lot of people don't. I don't think I watched 1 minute of Paris Nice or Torino Adriatico, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a Run Van Drenthe or whatever that race is.
Yeah.
I have not. I've seen like some stuff from my social feeds. I know who won
Yeah.
Pogacar or won Torino Adriatico, and um,
There was a Spanish gravel race
Rogue,
in there somewhere.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it was the.
Roglic won Paris Nice, I think.
Uh-huh.
So Pog and Rog, there you go. Rog and
I saw
Pog.
the three jumbo riders cross the finish line. One, two,
Oh, that
three.
was wild.
There was that thing. But I mean, it was just coming so fast and furious that I just it was a lot to sort through, and then the shop getting busy at the same time that
Yep.
I kind of lost track of who was who, where everybody was at. And that's my reference to like cycling, like racing too much. It was like wow.
I thought you were talking about us on the podcast
No, no,
talking too
no,
much.
no,
I'm
because
like, oh no.
no, because the classics are something that I want to
Yeah.
I certainly are worth paying attention to, even for somebody who's not into bicycle racing. This is when you really start. This is kind of where your ears should start perking up. If you're interested in the sport, if you want to maybe focus some attention on a couple of key races. This is one of them. Milan San Remo is I mean, it's the Italian early season race. It's a classic. It's
La Primavera.
before they moved to Northern Europe in the cold gray skies of Northern Europe. You've got
Mhm.
this race in in Italy.
Milan San Remo, you're right. It obviously goes from Milan all the way down south, 300 kilometers. I think it's technically 298 this year. It changes a little bit from year to year, I think. But it's you're looking at like crazy distance. What is
Mm-hmm.
that? 170,
108 over
miles,
180
180.
over 180 miles, almost 200.
There
Yeah.
you go. So you have this crazy race, and a lot of people say it's the best like finish of any race, just because you have those two climbs, the Poggio and the Cipressa,
Mm-hmm.
at the very end of the race. So it's like this pretty flat race the whole time, and then it has these two punchy short climbs at the end, and then a really tricky descent. But the point is, yeah, La Primavera for a lot of people that's like the coming of spring, and
Mm-hmm.
usually they get down, and the weather is usually in quotes usually really beautiful, sunny. But of course, they've had some epic additions. Remember when it snowed there and they had to stop the race and they
Yeah.
put the riders on the bus and Cavendish was like frozen?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I was going to say though is Strada Bianchi
Mm-hmm.
last week, last Saturday. That was an awesome. So that was yeah, in Italy, named for the White Roads. What's interesting is like every year people are like, why don't they make this one of the monuments, one of the main classics? So
Mm-hmm.
for those who maybe don't know, there are five monuments in cycling. They're called that because they're considered like these epic, great, legendary races. So you have Milan San Remo. Let's go through them real quick. Milan San Remo, in order. Can we do them in order? So Milan San Remo, and then you have Tour of Flanders,
Mm-hmm.
and you have Paris Roubaix.
Mm-hmm.
Back up a little bit. Sorry, Liège, Bastogne, Liège,
Yeah. LBL. Mm-hmm.
and then the last one is in the fall. That is the race of the falling leaves, which is
Giro di Lombardia.
yes, Lombardia. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get all five? Did we
That's
leave one
5.
out?
Mm-hmm.
So people want to make Strada Bianchi. They're arguing that it should be brought into. There should be six monuments
Mm-hmm.
because Strada Bianchi is epic. It's not nearly as old as these other classics, these monuments, but there are a lot of folks who make some really good points. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what the criteria are, like to make something a monument, and I'm not even sure what it really means. Like, is there like an institute, like in
uh,
Belgium, where like Eddie Merckx is on his throne and he's like deciding what's awarded monument status? I don't know, but I would say yes, you're right. Milan San Remo is kind of like the unofficial opening
mm-hmm.
of the real season. Um, but Strada Bianchi kind of feels like that too. It's just 2 weeks before. It was a week ago, so
You know,
Milan San Remo
I
is
think what
next week.
I think what would be hard to, in my opinion, to make it a monument is that the greats didn't race it, right? You can't go back to like you don't have did I don't think that was around when Eddie Merckx was racing, right? Strada Bianchi, right?
No, no, I think it's what 10, 15 years old
Yeah.
now.
So it. I mean, for me, a monument would be something where you can you take back at least to the Merckx years, if not earlier.
So
Something with
that's
50,
so
60
that
years in the making, and where there's a long history where you can kind of compare some of the new guys to the really old guys. And so I mean, I get both arguments. I mean, there's also the modernization of the sport and trying to make it a little bit hipper. But I gotta say that as I'm getting older now and I see the state of the sport, and just for me, as someone who used to live and die with all these bike races, that um, the bike racing too much. Uh, I I, I kind of miss the days when all the top guys were at the same race.
yeah, you're I think you're largely right. I would just a couple of quick things. One is just to play devil's advocate to take kind of an extreme
Mm-hmm.
point of view. So if we have these five monuments and we want to, if that's the one criterion is like, did all the heavies back in the day race them? Like, does that mean we're always going to just have five then? Like, we'll never change it? Um, that's one thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then two, I'm a little bit torn. Like, I could see it. I think you just have to like ask, like, what's the criteria?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I don't. I would have. I think a lot of people would probably have no issue calling Strada Bianchi a monument, but where do you draw the line? Like, what about Ghent Wevelgem? Like, why
Yeah.
can't that? be a monument? Or
Mm-hmm.
what about Fletch Malone or
Mm-hmm.
whatever? Fill in the blank. Like,
Yeah.
where do you start? Like, what's your criteria?
Mm-hmm.
Should it be a certain distance?
Mm-hmm.
Should that be part of the criteria? Should it be? I don't know. By the way, I just fact checked myself, and I think we're roughly right. So, first edition of Strade Bianche was 2007,
Wow.
and by the way, there are two riders who've won the race more than once. Can you name who's won the race, Strade Bianche, most times, Joe?
I off the top, I would just say this is just a guess. Cancellara.
You're so good, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how many times he's won it?
3 times.
Yes, three
Yeah.
times. Very good, very good. And then who's the second guy? He's actually someone you really like. You've mentioned him on the pod before. This other guy's won it twice.
Oh,
And you swallow. I'll let you try to guess for a second.
huh. 2007. So it's got to be a mm, not Kwiatkowski.
Yes,
Really? He's won that? He's
you're on form today. He's won it twice.
really? Wow.
Mikhail Kwiatkowski has won it. He won it in 17,
Mm-hmm.
and he won it in 14.
That's crazy because I don't equate those two guys. Like I would just never think of those. I would, like if I think Cancellara, I think Flecha, I think, Juan Antonio Flecha, I think bigger guy. I think
Mm,
of guys like that, kind of big diesel guys. Qui- I think of Quitco as more of a climber, more of a, more of a Grand Tour stage, a Grand Tour guy. I don't really think of him as I mean, obviously he can do it, and he's won a world championships too. So I mean, it's not that he's not capable of doing it, but I just don't lump him in that group
yeah,
where I automatically think about it.
I think that's fair. I
Hmm.
think it's one of those races too. I don't know offhand, but I think it's one of those races too that has unless you're really focusing on it, I
Hmm.
think it has a deceptively great number of like
Little
vertical feet, like climbing
See, Danny, it's
elevation.
it's not it's not a monument. You don't know. You can't name the climbs like the Poggio. And
Well,
see,
I can say that. Well, the finish is great in
yeah, yeah,
Siena and
yeah,
that
yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
climb.
yeah. It
And
is. Yeah.
so anyway, Milan San Remo's coming up next week. I'm super stoked. And what I saw this afternoon was a nice video that GCN Racing did.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh,
every time I watch them, the quality is like it's just always going up. They do such nice work.
yeah.
So shout out to the GCN guys, Global Cycling Network. You can find them on
I like the. You know what? I really
YouTube and all that.
I enjoy all their. I enjoy their content. I enjoy the kind of at home stuff.
Yep.
I like the
So
stuff from their different hosts. Like the just the kind of like those guys with a GoPro at home making muesli, going out for a ride. Like I just
fancy word for granola.
yeah. I just like I do enjoy their things. They seem to they do a very good job of it.
So this video that popped up in my feeds was for pegged to Milan San Remo next week. So I
Hmm.
think it came out today or this weekend, whatever. And it's one of their producer or anchor host guys, whatever you call them, racing, quote unquote racing, Sean Kelly
Huh?
at the end of Milan San Remo. So they went out on a bike ride. It's a really cool video.
Really?
So it's Sean Kelly on his, guy's crazy fit.
Hmm.
So he's on his like nice. He's got a Vitus or a Vitus
A
bike,
Vitus. Yeah.
Vitus. There you go. And it's like apparently like a full carbon modern race bike with disc brakes and
Wow.
electronic, et cetera, et cetera.
Clips and straps.
But
Still in clips and straps.
the hairnet.
Uh huh.
But no, but then the other guy, the GCN guy, the young lad, he's on a vintage bike, the same one that Kelly. It's not the same exact bike, but it's
A
it's
replica
it's a,
or of some sort.
basically
Hmm.
it's actually an original,
Oh,
but
nice.
it's basically what he same bike he effectively was riding. So
Yeah.
it's like anyway, it's a fun little video. I don't want to give it away, but they race up the Poggio, the Cipressa, the final climbs of
Wow.
Milan San Remo,
Wow.
and yeah, you can check it out. I actually thought it was really cute and well done. And Sean's there, and he's not a man of many words, so
Hmm.
when he does speak, it's actually pretty funny.
Oh, nice.
Um, but yeah, two-time winner. So anyway, I'm pretty stoked. I'll be up Saturday super early. I'll have the coffee going, and I'm gonna watch the last couple hours or so.
That's right. You know, that's one of the unique things about that race is that it's on a Saturday. You know, most all these other these monuments are, you know, the big bike races are usually on Sundays. These all these kind of classic races are always traditionally on Sundays. I don't know why it's on Sundays. You know, it's just always been Sundays. Ask me why, I don't know. But
You're right. Most of these, you kind of always consider them like Sunday is like the big game,
yeah,
right? It's
yep.
like the big events on Sunday,
Hmm.
whether it's a soccer match or tennis match. Don't they usually try to have it on the Sunday? Because I think that's when most people can watch at home
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like you get the most TV ratings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. I would actually, because of the age of some of these, you know, how old some of these races are, I would have thought that maybe Saturday would have been preferable because of, you know, church and Catholicism and all that stuff, especially like in maybe in Italy, maybe in Italy, maybe that is one of those things. Maybe it is the church that had a lot of weight back in those days. That you know
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to attend an event or do bike racing on Saturdays. I would be interested. That's an interesting thing. Maybe we'll look that up
Keep
later.
like keep holy the Sabbath, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you're
it's
not supposed to be doing that if you're, you know, hardcore, right? You're not, you know,
yeah,
it's the Lord's
Rome.
Day.
You know, the Pope just called in from Rome, and he's like, "Hey, no racing
Hmm.
on Sunday.
Well,
You go to church."
isn't that, I mean, I always heard that black shorts was because of the church, you know, so that
Yeah,
you wouldn't,
I heard that too.
yeah, I mean, that
You
was
told me that.
yeah,
You
I mean,
told me.
that's what I had been told a long time ago, or I know you know, I didn't make that up. I read it or I was told that at some point about black shorts and it seemed to make sense, you know, because, you know, who wants to see a big red, you know, somebody with red shorts, Mario Cipollini.
Or just all white. Oh
Mm-hmm.
boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird that it's on a Saturday. I don't mind it. It's fine, but
Mm-hmm.
you're right though. There's a ton of racing going on. It's hard to keep track. Switching gears a little bit, pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with our bike ride? Are we gonna do this? You did foreshadow a little bit earlier. You said the nice weather is coming.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like next week we are going to hit some 60s, and it looks like even more important to me, it looks like it's going to be consistently pretty warm in the coming week in the 50s. I'm thinking, Joe, I got to ride down, and then that'll be my warm up. We'll do some sort of ride, and then we can get like a burrito or something after and hang out.
Wow, that is a long ride for you. If you're gonna ride from your place out here, and then we're gonna do a ride, and then you got to ride home. That's
No, I'm gonna. Well, here's the thing. I would probably have Sarah come pick me up.
that sounds a little bit more logical to me because boy,
Well,
that could get a lot. That could be those could be a lot of early season miles. That ride might be, and then a
well,
burrito and a ride home. That would be miserable.
Face miles.
Uh,
Yeah, no, 100. No, that was my thinking. At least
hmm.
right now, if I'm in shape, I could do that, no problem,
Hmm.
really. But
But you're not.
these days, these I was gonna say, but these days, I
Yeah.
am not.
Well,
So,
you know,
no,
and what I would say too is at this time of the year, um, I think it's happened to all of us where you're just a little overconfident. It gets gets a little colder at the end of the day. You're like, I'm gonna, you know, you start out warm, you're excited, then it gets, you know, the wind changes, and all of a sudden you're riding home in the cold and bonking, and it's just though it's like nothing's worse. You know, it's like
you
that.
described every ride of my life. No,
Oh, that's a
I actually,
horrible,
I
horrible ride.
I got out for the first real ride on my new bike last Saturday.
Oh,
Last
nice.
Saturday?
Yeah, how did that go?
Yes, Saturday or Sunday, Saturday. It was actually really nice.
Mhm.
You know, tweaking the bike position still. That'll be something that'll go on for a little bit. It was great.
You do a lakefront ride,
Yeah,
or you head up north?
no,
What did you do?
I went up north. I went up north. I went to you know, they have all these this like trail system, and there are a couple of different trails that kind of hook up at different points. So I kind of meandered, but yeah, I think I did like 30 miles.
Nice.
It was really chill. But yeah, it was a gorgeous day out, and
I'm sure there
it
were a lot
felt
of people out. I mean, just tons of people riding bikes. I would
there.
imagine.
I saw quite a few roadies.
Mhm.
Good little nod, you know.
Nice.
kind of getting back in the swing of things. But no, it was super fun. The bike felt great, super nice.
I gotta make you
Um,
some business cards so you could chase them down and tuck one into their pockets.
hey, there you go.
Hey man, hey, check me out. Check me out.
I love it. I love it. No, but the bike felt great. Those big fat tires. Oh my
Yeah,
god, it
yeah.
just feels super dope. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
not to get we'll do nerd corner for a second. I get the SRAM email. I don't know if you get SRAM's like main email, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's email newsletter. I think it's pretty good. They had Valverde, so he raced Strade Bianche, and this is last season.
Mm-hmm.
So it was theoretically, unless he pulls a Tom Brady, it was his last Strade Bianche. So he got second to Pogacar,
Yeah.
and I think they're on tubeless now,
Hmm.
which I didn't realize. And so they're on these tubeless, this tubeless wheel system. Guess what his PSI was?
Oh, for him, he's thin. I bet it is in the 60s. Oh, they were riding
Well,
on gravel, limestone. Yeah, maybe even probably lower than that.
it was in the 50s,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and it's just it's pretty crazy. So
Yeah.
in the front, he had 53.6 psi, 3.7 bar, and rear 55 psi.
Yeah.
Like I know he's pretty. He's probably like 130 pounds, 140 pounds, something like that.
I think in the world, I think he's like right around
150.
150. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but like still like that's pretty low. So it's this hookless, tubeless wheel
Mm-hmm.
system, and obviously SRAM is happy to kind of push that out there for marketing purposes. But I don't know that I mean I'm obviously not going to be able to get away with that, but that's really low. Like I think that's
Yeah. It's. I mean, it is. I guess at the shop because I do a lot of tubeless, and that I used to be shocked by how low you can get tubeless, and I have guys on standard like 29er 2.3 tires that ride in the very low 20s. So that yeah,
Valverde's
I've become a
134
little
pounds.
immune to the that those low tire pressures with tubeless. It's just been a thing. It's been a thing for a while. I know somebody who's riding tubeless on the road who's been doing it for a long time, and I mean that guy was riding in the 70s, but he was a bigger guy. So I have I would imagine that being as light as he is in the terrain they were riding, that they were riding something low.
Yeah, he's 134 pounds
He's
according to Google.
134. I didn't realize he was that light.
So
134?
tiny. Yeah, so tiny. But yeah, no,
Gee.
you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been tuned into the whole
Road tubeless is still
tubeless thing.
it's still very
I'm
cutting
now
edge road tubeless.
yeah. I mean,
So,
like I said, they set up my bike.
mhm.
They just made it tubeless, and I was like, I wasn't gonna go tubeless, but I'm like, okay, well, I'll just give it a try. So,
I mean,
but it's pretty amazing.
the max on yours I mean, your max is probably in the 80s, right? I mean, your max probably if you look at the side of that tire for tubeless, it's probably in the 80s. It probably doesn't get out of the I would imagine it doesn't get out of
I
the
haven't
90s.
I haven't actually I haven't actually checked, but it's funny
Mhm.
you said that because I actually put them at 75.
Mhm. You should check because I mean,
I'm going to.
I
I'm
bet
gonna
you're at
check
the
right
higher
after
range. I
this.
bet you're at the higher range for tubeless because
I'm gonna check right
it's
now.
surprisingly low. And
It's amazing.
hmm yeah, what did you feel?
It's definitely it feels very different.
Yeah.
It feels good, but just even visually looking at that fat 32 tire from like a 23, 25,
Sure.
and it definitely feels a lot more comfortable.
hmm
You still feel the bumps, of course, but like nothing like previously where I was riding, probably 100 psi, 110 maybe. Uh, Felt really good. I love the SRAM Rival,
You're
the
s- you're
electronic.
you're still carrying a tube with you, right? A spare
Yeah,
tube.
so
Yeah.
the Domane has a secret compartment. I don't know if you know about it, but in the down tube,
hmm
it has this little
Yeah.
little plastic door. Like you put the water bottle
hmm
cage onto the little door that clips out, and you can't fit much in there.
hmm
But there's a little bag that comes with it, and it just kind of rolls up. So I just put a tube and
Nice.
CO2 and a couple tire irons. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so far so good. It felt great, and yeah, just really plush. But it still felt like I was, I'm not in great shape right now, so I wasn't going hard really at all the whole ride. But I did get up, put in a couple little light efforts, and just to see how the bike felt and responded, and still feels like a race bike.
Don't blow yourself up, Danny. Don't hurt a hamstring or something. It's early in the season. Don't get it. we're not
I
what
don't want to.
we're
I
not
don't want
what
to peak too
we're
soon.
not what we used to be, Danny. Yeah, like
I don't want to. I don't want to peak too soon,
pull your
Joe.
shoulder out of your the
No,
socket
I
or
was
something.
just I was just moseying along. It was super fun though.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm serious though. We gotta do this ride.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
come down.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do the loop,
Mm-hmm.
and then Sarah will meet us, and maybe we could all have a bite to eat together
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be
with
cool.
your
Yeah, the
better half.
weather's getting good. There'll be plenty of those rides. You know what? Let's wrap this up on a high. We received a letter, an
Oh
email, an actual
my God, I'm
email.
so excited.
Yeah. Um, let's grab this here and
I'm so stoked.
um, so it is from listener David Dominguez. He says, "What's up, Joe? This is David Dominguez, the guy with the Surly bikes. Just wanted to
Ooh.
say that I enjoy the pod. I'm glad I found your bike shop, man. Keep those episodes coming. Best
Whoa.
regards, David Dominguez."
That's awesome. What a nice thing to
Yeah,
say. What a cool dude to think to write in.
yeah. He bought a straggler. He bought a bike from me, a Surly, maybe a couple of years back already. Um, and he was in the shop for, maybe a month ago or so, a little less than a month ago. Actually, right after we did the bike shop episode, so we did that. We recorded the podcast at the bike shop. Left them,
Yep.
and we left. I left the microphones out. I mean, they've been sitting
Mm.
there on the counter ever since. Because I think they look cool and
Oh yeah.
draw some
Oh yeah.
attention to. They lead to conversations about what we're doing with them there. Hey, what are you doing with them? And he asked. He's like, "So what are you doing with that?" I said, "Oh, we're doing this podcast thing." And he's like, "I love podcasts." And so he signed up, um, and apparently he listened. Actually, I know he listened because he was in the bike shop. He was visiting the bike shop with a friend of his, with Jenny, and she bought a bike and picked up her bike yesterday. So she
She
bought
she
a
bu- she bought a bike from you.
yeah, she bought a Jameis Renegade, uh,
Ooh.
gravel bike, similar to
Hmm.
his Straggler, because
Okay.
as I always suggest to people, if your plan is to ride together, you should have similar bicycles. Um,
Oh, okay.
because if somebody's on a gravel bike and somebody's on a road bike, someone's always going to be at some sort of a disadvantage. And if you want to ride in the
Mm.
same places, it's best to have similar bikes. If I'm going to go mountain biking with someone, I don't want that other person on a road bike, and vice versa. If I'm going to go for a road ride, then I'm stuck waiting for the guy on the mountain bike all the time because he's
The only
can't keep up.
exception, Joe,
Mm-hmm.
the only exception would be is if I'm riding with Valverde.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be on that. What's the race? Sorry, I can't say it. I Diatrod.
Iditarod, the
I did it
ITI.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to be on that bike, and I want to be on a high performance road
Oh
e-bike.
boy,
You know what I'm
e-bike, man,
saying?
maybe an e-bike, maybe with a guy like that,
Maybe
man, maybe with a guy like that.
because he
So
can do 35 miles an hour for like an hour. So
yeah, yeah,
I might lose my battery and just get totally dropped. But yeah, that's a really good point. I just saw the Renegade online. That's a cool looking bike. That looks like a lot of fun actually.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's a standard. It's a gravel bike, very nice gravel bike, and
mhm.
her first road style, Jenny's first road style bike, and an ideal way to break into road riding. So if
She's just
some
riding flat pedals for now.
For now, for now. And so is he. He was ready. He's gung ho, man. He was gung ho. He wanted to buy some shoes. He wanted to buy pedals, and he wanted to ride today. And I said,
Awesome.
well, take a beat, take take a take a pause for a second, before you jump into all of that, because it just takes a little time to get set up and get pedals and get shoes, and to do that in less than 12 hours and go for a bike ride. It's having never done it before, and
Yeah, I agree. It's like you can do it, but I 100% agree. If
yeah,
you're get used to the bike a little bit on flat pedals, do
Mm-hmm.
some
Yep.
rides, and you have all the time in the world to get on the clipless whole mindset and system.
Yeah, and also just you know what, for someone who's never used like a SRAM shifting or modern day in the bar shifting, there's a lot to get used
Hmm.
to. I would argue it's probably easier to use like down tube shifters than it is for a newbie than it is to
Ring
use
it
uh
like on a Vitus.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you got a left, you got a right. It's one's a rear, one's a front. You don't have one lever doing everything where you have to kind of learn to master it a little bit, and like, kind of how
Oh,
all that works. So, yeah, there's a lot going on when you're getting used to a new bicycle, and then you add clipless pedals to it and trying to clip in, and it's just like
so name
his name is David Dominguez.
David. So thanks for writing in, David. That's awesome. Glad to hear
Yeah.
you and yours have some cool bikes, and you're gonna have so much fun now.
Yeah, and you know who else I want to send a shout out to, Danny? We have listeners. We have overseas listeners. I want to coax these guys into, or people. I don't know if they're guys or not. Please write to us. Please contact us because I see that you're downloading the show and in Madrid, in Madrid, los
Mm.
que están en Madrid. Hay gente en Asturias. See, there's people in
Mm.
Asturias that are listening to us. Um, there, Danny, there's somebody in Toulouse also
Hey,
downloading our show with regularity. So I mean, so
beautiful, beautiful Toulouse. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we have people in Spain. We have somebody in Ireland as well.
Whoa.
Yes, is one of your people, Danny. One of
Yes.
one of your people is let's see if you're familiar with this town because
I love all your, I love all your, I love all your big data.
yeah,
So Toulouse is a cool town.
uh-huh.
There's a great song. There's a great song you should check out by the Stranglers called "Goodbye Toulouse."
Really?
Stranglers are super dope band if you're not into them. And then Toulouse, I believe they're well known for their horses, but it's also where Airbus is located, just outside Toulouse. So Boeing's big rival.
Really?
I've had it. Toulouse has been a jumping off point for me when I was at the tour a couple different times. It just happened to be like the rest day was somewhat near there, and I just jumped off the tour there and flew home from there. So I would usually spend like one night there and just kind of walk the beautiful like main square around Toulouse and have a beer outside on like the big spread out cafes and have a little bite to eat. And the weather was always amazing for this summer. What a great little place. So shout out to Toulouse. So what's this Irish town?
It
Your
is.
streets were paved with love. Your skies were blue. Goodbye.
All right, and we're back. I think you were asking where in Ireland, is that right?
Yes, where in the old country is that listener listening from?
Dublin, Leinster. That makes sense to you?
Leinster. Yeah,
Leinster,
yeah. So it says Dublin/Leinster.
comma Leinster.
Okay.
Is that town? Is it the town or the county of Leinster? What is that? Do you know?
One of the provinces of Ireland, situated in the southwest and east of Ireland. So it's like the southeast side, like yeah, of Ireland. So
Maybe one of
that's
your
cool. That's
maybe one
cool.
of your folk over there. We also have somebody
Yeah.
in El Escorial. So we have a few people in Spain, which is interesting. That's great because that's going to make our meetup in Spain at least. There'll be five of us. If everybody comes. We have a guy from Asturias, way up north. We have a guy we have two people in Madrid. We have Madrid in the house, and so that would be, that would be interesting. So, uh, please write to us, all of you, all three of you, all five of you. Send us some emails. It'd be nice to touch base with you guys and
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and David
Please,
as
please
well,
send us.
and
Yeah. Thanks.
anybody who's out there listening. You want a shout out? Come on,
Just say hi. We're lonely. Send us an email. Send us something on the socials.
uh,
Whatever.
yeah,
Say hi. Ask a question. Make fun of us. Complain. Do whatever. Just get in touch. Say something. Write us a poem. Write us a poem, maybe.
yes, a limerick.
A limerick.
A
That'd be
the
perfect.
guy in Dublin.
It,
Come on.
St. Patrick's Day is coming up.
Uh-huh.
And we have MSR, Milan San Remo, coming up.
A
Um,
lot of stuff on the calendar, Danny. A
there's
lot of stuff on the
a lot of stuff
calendar.
on the calendar. Our bike ride is coming up
Hmm.
sooner than later. I hope. Um,
And maybe even a guest.
so
And maybe even a guest at some point. Some very soon. I think we've
yes,
got to start nailing some of that down. I think it's time that we bring somebody on and let them share in what we're doing.
100%. We're
Hmm.
gonna have guests on, maybe even in the next episode.
Whoa, wow,
Maybe we'll
maybe.
talk. We'll talk after the show. I'll give you some details. I don't want to spoil it for the listeners.
All right, I might have to just cut this out. I might just beep all this stuff out. Really long
Beep it
beep.
out.
Yep.
Beep it out.
Alrighty, man.
Um,
I'll let you go. I think I think that's enough for tonight. I think
I
people
think we
are
exhausted it.
yeah, I think people have had enough of us.
I know that I've had enough of us. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So say goodbye, Danny.
Thanks, everybody.